This episode of Super Pulp Science is brought to you by a very special pop-up art market in the studio at 716-70 Arthur Street on December 7th from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., featuring a ton of local artists selling books, art, canvases, and more.
Attention, citizens. It's time for Super Pulp Science.
Hello, this is Super Pulp Science, where we talk about how genre gets made. I'm talking really fast because we don't have a lot of time. We're going to talk about NaNoWriMo today. My special guest is author Samantha Biko.
Yo.
And we undertook to do 50,000 words of writing in 1 month. It is almost the end of November. I am also here with Dan,
Hi.
Who didn't do NaNoWriMo.
I don't have time. Okay, well, let's explain what NaNoWriMo is to those who don't know, because I lost the previous episode of the podcast in which you guys talked about it.
That's right.
Great. So NaNoWriMo is a truncated version of National Novel Writing Month, which takes place in November for the full 30 days. 30 days. And the expectation is you can go online and you can join the NaNoWriMo community, and you can do the official stuff where you're uploading all of your daily word counts and your goals and all of the information about your book so that you can be part of a community that supports you. And everyone is running the same race. But the whole point of it is to write 50,000 words, either a full manuscript or that amount for whatever project it is that you're undertaking.
And so one of the other big things is it's kind of suggesting that the labor of writing, if you just do the math, that's about 2,000 words every day for 25 days. You get 5 days off, right? 2,000 words.
So you can do a little bit less every day if you want to do the full 30 days.
That's right. If you want to write every day, or you can do it, or you can write twice as much, right?
I wonder how much of it is a couple hundred words a day until like the last week in which you're just writing. How many people like wait till the end and then just kind of throw anything at the page?
So I started out writing every day, sort of without fail. I would get 1,500 to 2,000 words, and then just some really busy stuff came up in the month, and some stuff I needed with the publisher, and some stuff with my kids, and my kids got sick, and an emergency room visit, and all of these other life events occurred where it smashed apart that idea that I would stick to a regular schedule. But what's the date today?
The 26th?
It's the 27th today. So I'm in a way behind because I'm at about 35,000 words. Sam, you want to put me to shame?
I mean, here's the thing.
No, don't. Just say the number.
Okay, so I'm currently at 62,000, but I reached 50,000 within 13 days. Which sounds really incredible, et cetera, but along the way I have been editing and cutting and doing a ton of that work.
I don't even have the space. I don't have time to edit and fix it too.
Because I really want to make sure that I'm not just onto a page. I wanted to actually feed back into what I've put into it. But I would like to qualify that with a giant asterisk that I have practice at doing this. I didn't just, pop out of the womb with an 800-page manuscript, okay?
I bet you did.
I've spoken about it in previous podcasts where I talked about writing my sequel of Sign on the Fox, Children of the Bloodlands. That's a 130,000-word book. I wrote that in 30 days as well because I was put under the gun. So I developed these skills in my little toolbox to write a ton under the gun and manage a whole ton of plot threads. And again, it's practice. It does take practice.
If I were to, I've never done this. I haven't done a ton of like creative writing. My writing background is in media, news, and that kind of stuff. But if I were to ever do it, I think I would need something like this, the structure of this, to make sure that I follow through.
So one of the things that has helped me is that Jonathan Ball from Writing the Wrong Way podcast, he is also undertook. The reason I did NaNoWriMo is he incessantly texted me until I agreed that we should have a buddy. You should do it on the buddy system.
That's a good idea.
Right? Someone that is going to... some people do it on Twitter or they do it on social media. They post their word counts. They post all that kind of stuff. That wasn't super my style. I posted for a little while. I was posting like some of the creative thoughts I was having while I was doing it. But having somebody text you, hey, I got 2,000 words done this morning, and I would check the clock and it'd be like 8 a.m., which means he's been up since 5 writing, was good for me. Like that was in our dynamic really good. Other people, not so good, right? But it's good to have if you do it on the buddy system. And knowing that Sam was doing it originally helped me, but then when I would check in and she would be just so far into another realm of word count, it actually discouraged me.
I'm so sorry.
But no, don't apologize.
No, never apologize
Okay,
for the
fine.
accomplishment.
I'm never sorry. I'm better.
That's good.
But Sam, the question I have for you is, do you go into this kind of with an idea of what the story is you want to tell?
Yes.
So you've kind of got it planned out in your head, or do you have an outline written down or anything like that?
Well, I wasn't going to do Nano at all. Because I am always just kind of like either coming off of touring season or coming off of editing another novel or finishing another novel on contract. So I was just like, no, I'm not going to do that. But I was on the road in Halifax doing my East Coast tour for Children of the Bloodlands, and I started researching something else, like a completely different subject, and I was reading a ton of articles and a ton of archival work, and then the wheels started turning, and then I was gripped by this new story, and I was like, well, maybe I'll explore it for Nano. And then before I knew it, I had started writing it actually on October 31st. So sorry, I started early.
Those don't count. Those words don't count.
Those words don't count.
Yeah.
Okay, you're only 10,000 something words
12,000
over.
over.
12,000 over.
But who's counting?
Yes. So I did have some direction, and I had plotted it a bit. And normally I was never a plotter until I've arrived at this point in my career. I've had to become a plotter in order to survive all my deadlines. So again, I already had that kind of innate skill built in from past flailing.
Don't worry. Everything's going according to plan.
I think it's an important distinction. It's a skill here, not a talent. Like, we can have a talent for writing. You have a sense of word. You have a sense of a quality of a phrase. You have an understanding, a talent that a word can create an emotion in a person. But there's a skill that you develop to write every day and to always have something else to say.
Does it have to be fiction? Is that something that is a part of the...
Well, I mean, a novel...
Oh, no.
The assumption is that it's fiction.
Okay.
But I mean, there are plenty of people, there's a few people that I found, following through on the hashtag that were writing their, dissertations, their thesis, their...
Well, I mean, an autobiography is a book. I don't know. I mean, I guess what matters is your writing, right? That's the point of it.
Mm-hmm.
There was someone I saw that was using it as a way to write their science textbook. Like, they were using it
Right.
like literally just as an excuse to put in the kind of writing that they do every
And
day.
it's such an interesting thing when you talk about all these different types of writing, because again, I don't think in terms of writing dialogue, prose, description, that kind of thing. I write for radio, which is super short and to the point.
Right.
And so it would be really, I don't know if it would be difficult, but it would certainly be an adjustment for me to make in shifting gears to this type of writing, especially for 30 days. That's insane.
Sure, but I mean, the thing that you're talking about, though, is something that a lot of writers struggle with constantly. So people who are, people who are writing the 62,000 words in such a short period of time, maybe they need to learn to be more economic. And that's kind of what a big hang-up is. You can write a ton, but are you actually saying anything?
Is it any good?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so
you kept shouting that back at me when I would say, "Oh, you're writing so much." You'd be like, "Yeah, but I don't know if any of it's any good." I think the essential part is if you can write a lot, and you can pair that with an editing process that is not precious, then you can cut away everything that is irrelevant. Sometimes you have to, it's like panning for gold, right? There's a lot of grit that you have to sift before you find that
before
nugget.
You find Mr. Pocket.
That's right.
Now, Gregory,
Tom
where
Waits.
did the project that you worked on for Nano, or that you're currently working on, where did it come from?
It started as one, and it became two, so that I could keep my word count. I became very anxious around the idea of not having, like what you were saying, something to say. So I started this project way long ago called The Inside House. I wrote a first draft of around maybe 8,000 words. Hated it. All I liked about it, I was on a creative retreat, and I was, grinding out this thing where you basically write 24 hours a day. And I really liked the concept, but the delivery was not at all. It did not live up to the promise of the story. So I'd had this thing in the back of my head for a couple of years that I want to go back and revisit The Inside House and rewrite that. But when am I ever going to take the time? And then when I got the text from Jonathan Ball, he's like, "You're going to do NaNoWriMo, right?" I was like, "Oh, no," was my first thought. And then I was like, well, maybe I'll use it as an excuse to work on that book again. And then once I had done that, I said, okay. So I completely rewrote it. Like I didn't reread what I had written. All I remembered about it was the part that I liked. And I made sure that I didn't go back and reread that draft. It's been years since I looked at it. I just purposely left it alone and just started page 1, paragraph 1, sentence 1, idea.
Now, are you going to go
1.
back and compare the two?
No.
Oh.
No, because the one thing I do know is that the work I did this time is a lot better.
Okay.
Because I started with the gold. I had done that sifting, I had done that creative retreat, and I had done all the sifting, and the part that I think that was the good part, I had. What happened was when I felt myself losing momentum, I realized that I wasn't sure. It's a story that required me, the structure of the story required me to write a lot of truth just to have something to say, because it's based on how we build memory and where we build memory. It's sort of like, it circulates around the notion of a memory palace, but in a much more sinister way. And how I could write quickly was, rather than invent other people's memories, I would just rely on my own to build these scenes. And so it became somewhat emotionally exhausting to revisit a whole bunch of these complicated emotional mindscapes to then put into the book. And so I found myself on days, as I previously mentioned, where there was all this other stuff going on, where it's like the last thing I want to do is be so introspective about this horrible day in my childhood or this other thing. So I switched to a different story, another idea that I had written down, I'd done a draft of that I also thought was terrible, a story that is loosely titled Razzle Dazzle. So I started writing that one, and it's like a cyborg gang fighting. It's like completely opposite, just like popcorn, science fiction popcorn story. And that came very quickly. So between the two of them, I've got about 35,000 words. So I could still make it.
Okay.
I could still make
You
it.
start some new third thing now that you have a couple days left.
No. So breaking up with Inside House for a little while, for 12,000 words, actually 12,500 words, where I wrote this other story instead, give it all back. Like, now I want to go back to it. Now
Okay.
I'm ready. All that stuff I was telling you about, that was kind of made it hard to write. That's all over. I'm through it. And now I've had some reflection time, but I've kept the writing up. And at the same time, I was working on 2 pitches for other publishers. I was working on, a deadline, a book that I have to have finished at the end of December. So I was putting in time in and around all my other regular writing time and trying to make it seem fun. But sometimes it's just work.
All the books I'll need, all the books I'll ever want.
How much of being a good writer is confidence in your work?
I think confidence is dangerous.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not the answer I was expecting.
I think it's more confidence in your process.
Yeah.
And have, like, if you've finished a novel in the past, that actually helps buoy me forward, because I know what the trajectory of my emotional state is going to be as
Yeah.
I'm writing this book, so I don't get hampered down with just that kind of imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Like, I have it. Of course, a lot of artists who have that insight, they have it.
Yeah.
But I don't kind of feel like, oh, I'm never going to be able to finish this, or I'm never going to be able to do this. I've kind of like, look, I've done it before, and I can do it again. And I
Yeah.
have to have some confidence in my storytelling ability. But also, when you're doing something and you're like, I'm under the gun for 30 days, but the stakes aren't as high. Like,
Yeah,
I have
think
to
of it-
deliver this.
Yeah,
You're
so
enjoying
it's that delivery, right? So one of the things, so you said, is it confidence? I think, no, it's resilience. It's knowing that there's a lot that's going to go wrong, and that your writing is not as brilliant as you think. Is when you're in the throes, God, you feel like Mozart, right? You're just
And then you
it's
reread it and you're like,
and then you're like,
what?
what was I thinking? But you mentioned the tools, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, imagine, like, I'm a terrible carpenter, right? The only thing I have faith in when I have to do something home maintenance in is the tool itself. That's the only thing that I look in that box. I'm like, well, someone built that hammer super good. At least I can rely on that, right? And I think that those are the tools that you're building up when you're practicing writing, is because every story is a new, it's a new complete build and you're starting from scratch, and the only thing you can rely on is the tools.
Yeah, and I would think for the project that I'm working on, it's a long form young adult fantasy, but it's historical fantasy, which is something I have not delved into before. So a lot of my underwork that exists in the book as it stands currently was research, and I just kind of got really lost in the research, and I used to avoid
Just
historical.
titled your autobiography Underwork. San Pico story.
I used to be like, oh, I'm interested in historical fantasy and I love reading it, but God, the amount of groundwork that you have to lay that doesn't even make it into the book, that development, and I really want to get into it. But I found myself getting lost in it, in the research, because I was so into it and so interested in it that it didn't feel like work. It felt like, wow, I'm really going to be able to build so much meat into this. So the book that I am writing, it's called The Silverling Masterwork of Sabina Strangeface, and
That's a great title.
Thank you. It's Slavic. Fantasy, Slavic folklore, which folklore of the peoples who are pre-unionized tribes that became Russia. So I'm in the 9th century Ukraine, and I'm drilling down into that. And you have to really dig hard to find the information about the peoples, their settlements, their traditions, their oral histories, because a lot of that stuff, I don't want to get too super deep into it, but in Soviet Russia, there were a lot of competing histories of how Russia came to be because of whoever was in power at the time. Yeah. And so when you want to go that far back, all of that stuff, that's current research, because people are just discovering those ethnographies and just digging them up. So I'm looking at this whole system of gods that I never had an idea about.
My family on one side is from Belarus, and one of the things when we went to visit, a lot of that stuff gets hidden. Yeah. During different regimes. And so it's not that the research isn't done or present, it's that they're like, oh, the current regime will not approve of this. Right. Go and hide it. Right. And remove that it ever existed. Yeah. And then when it's time, a few generations later, we'll bring it out again. Yeah. Right. And that's just how
and
it's
this is something that you talked to me about when I kind of said, this is what I'm currently researching. I'm really interested in that, is that, pre-90s, before the communism fell, it was not at all in vogue from a North American standpoint or a Western standpoint to be at all interested in Slavic studies, because they were the enemy. So why are you studying the ways and the mores of the enemy? Although the majority of North American population, a very big section of it, are Slavic heritage.
Certainly here in Manitoba as well. There's a big Ukrainian population and other.
And I'm half Ukrainian, and that's kind of, my baba died when I was like 12, so there's a lot of that I'm just kind of having to reclaim and re-research. So I'm just super into it, and I did a ton of research not only on folklore, fairy tales, gods, spirits, that stuff, but also on just the way people lived in that era. And combined with whatever magical system that I've built, which is, again, brand new after being in the trenches of a completely different magic system that I just wrote a series for.
So I have a question for you. I'm hearing all of this sort of roll out, and I'm very intimidated by it, because the advice I give to people is don't fall into the research role, because you won't get any writing done.
Right.
But then clearly that is not true.
I did 10 days of research, I would say, before I did this.
Before November started.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So you have, okay.
So get
that out of the way. Do some preparation.
I did prep it, but while I'm writing, I'm also still doing the research. Right. I'm still doing the reading so that I can keep my frame of mind in there. I took a ton of notes, and parallel to this whatever magic system that I've built is based on craft, and by craft I mean making things. So again, not to get too deep into it, 9th century Ukraine. Abutted against a world that's completely populated by demons and gods that are all merchant-based, and they're all guild-based, and every guild works in a different medium. So I am also looking at silversmithing, goldsmithing, crystal making, stonework, bread work,
cool.
And that is cool.
The possibilities are endless.
And embroidery, but again, all governed by demons and gods. And this,
a certain type of embroidery would imbue you with a certain type of magical power.
Right. And it's just all of these guilds are competing, and, there's unrest in this world, and a girl from the 9th century Ukraine is thrown into this in order to save a member of her family. So it's like, wow, that sounds like a lot. That's a lot that you are
It is a
putting
lot.
down
Okay,
there.
so I don't often get a chance to ask people about the minutiae. Okay, so we deal, Dan, in made-up worlds a lot, but we don't often get to talk to people about how the worlds get made up. And so in Inside House, I also had this structure, right? You had to build essentially a whole magic system, a cosmology that then made sense for how people would behave. In Inside House, I was doing the same thing. How do you approach the rules? And how do you know when the rule is right? Because it needs rules.
The rules that exist now for whatever I've built, they will definitely be different by the time this book has a full draft. Not only a full draft, but has been edited, because it's it's fun to talk about all these complexity things that I've researched that I'd like to include in the work. But there's also I don't want to have the, however many thousands of words inundated with explaining it and
works.
putting it down.
Yeah. So I've been struggling with, at least with Inside House, how to make the rules come out in dialogue, right? So that rather than have it exposition, like these are the rules of this framework of this nightmare world, instead have the characters' interactions reveal to the reader at a pace that doesn't seem confusing, like where they're not confused for 2,000 words and then they're like, oh, okay, but they have to get that far. I don't want,
That's tough.
How do you manage that?
I am trying to currently juggle that by doing it through action. So the rules are established through the events that are happening, and that the character is observing them and saying, "Oh, okay, I get it," or who sees a transaction and then internalizes it, and then when it comes their turn to have that kind of transaction as well, that they have seen how it has to play out, and so they have to learn, and they have to learn quickly because there are consequences constantly.
So the reader is keeping up with the character, which is also learning.
And I
along
mean,
the way.
that is usually your pivot point, is that your character, if they're thrown into this brand new world, they have to learn.
They have to learn.
That
Yeah, so
world
that's what I was
based
thinking,
on their own experience. If they're like a shut-in and they have a very limited experience of the world as well, they might have an easier time, or they might have a harder time. But also, I'm not putting a ton of pressure on myself to perform it perfectly right now in the writing that's coming down, because I know that it's going to have to be massaged, but I'm enjoying the ride.
All of my books and stories are based on fact or legend. That's perhaps why they're more interesting and sell in the top spots.
You are kind of not worrying about it too much. You have a basic thing set out, but you know that it's going to change. So you're just like, okay, I'm just going to put this here for now, almost like a placeholder, and then come back to it later on. And what I was getting at with the confidence thing is really talking about your confidence in your ability to write. You know you can write. And I'm coming at this from you don't know you can write.
You don't know.
But until you do it, right?
Yeah, right.
So my perspective as an instructor at Red River College, we have students coming into our program who have not really done a ton of writing. They've done maybe a little bit on their own kind of thing. But we're teaching them how to write, and we're teaching them the confidence. And one of the things I've been telling them for years is don't be afraid to suck, right? Don't be afraid of that you can't write. Don't be afraid that your idea isn't good. Don't be afraid to just put it out and see what happens. And you can always change it. You can always revise it. That's part of the process.
Finish, not perfect.
Yeah.
Well, not even that. Just finish.
Yeah,
just finish.
just finish.
And the resiliency is important. Like the first draft of Inside House, which is now a forgotten thing, right? Yielded to me an idea that I wasn't ready to leave behind. Like I do first drafts of lots of stuff. Like I write a lot. In my spare time, in my extra time, in my fun time, I write a lot, and a lot of it just dies there, right? But what I cultivate out of it are these little things that become Midnight City, that become Infinitum, that become the books that I've done. But for every one that exists as a book, I have 10 maybe that didn't become anything.
Right.
But I couldn't have that one if I hadn't done the. I don't know.
The 10.
Yeah.
It's a shotgun approach, I guess, to writing, which is what NaNoWriMo is about.
Yes, and so we're kind of approaching the end-ish of this episode, if we did want it to be a real quick one, in the spirit of NaNoWriMo, because that is a quick window to write something.
You don't have much time.
You don't have much time. I mean, there are also people who participate in the 3-day novel contest, which is a completely different thing, where it's 3 days and you have to put down 25,000 words in that period of time. That's we're usually at a convention, I think, on that weekend.
Anyway.
It's Labor Day weekend.
Let's do it during the convention.
Oh, no. So it's November 27th. And
Today is, yes.
Yes, so you have 3 more days.
3 more days.
How and where are you? Do you have any plan, or are you just going to be like, I'm just going to do the best I can in this last 3 days?
I'm going to write 3,000 words every day for the next 3 days and try to make it.
Okay.
Yeah, try to make it. Now, the reason that I'm saying like I'm just going to try to make it is because I'm happy with the trajectory of both stories. Like, I'm way farther along, even if I have to edit them both down to half the word count than I would have been if I had not labored.
So it's not necessarily about the 50,000 words.
No.
It's about the idea.
Yeah, about refining is
Okay.
like, we're all about tool analogies in this episode. It's like, you have
You
have the metal on the anvil and you have to hit it so many times.
You're
or you
also
have to
into
fold
gold
it and hit it.
analogies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hit it and
did you
fold it.
know that in silversmithing, as opposed to goldsmithing, a lot of that work is done at room temperature because silver yields better results, and that the more you work silver, the stronger it becomes, and that's called
At
work
room
hardening.
temperature?
Yes,
It's like cold
you can do
forging?
cold forging, which is a big part of.
Yeah, that's my
book.
D&D knowledge coming through there. I knew it was called cold forging.
Yes.
Because you build silver knives to fight werewolves by cold forging them.
Yeah.
So will these novels be published? Are these going to actually be things people can buy and read?
Well, my goal once the draft is done, and I've done gotten to draft 3, I would like to pitch it for agents.
Yeah, so would
where
I.
I'm
I have a nearly finished novel, The Once Lands, which I collaborated with James Gillespie on.
Who's over there on the couch?
Yeah, he's over there on the couch waving at us. And then Razzle Dazzle and Once Lands, I hope to have them to a state where they would count as a first draft that I could send out to agents and say, like, here it is. Right, here's 3 things that I did. Do you want one? Want to look at one?
Yeah.
Please. Oh,
Well,
please.
let's check in then when those become actual books.
Fantastic.
Or later on in the process anyway, and we'll
Yeah.
check in and see, and then it all started here in
Yeah.
November 2018.
That's right. Yeah, I already wrote my query letter for this book. I've already have it in a draft to a couple of agents, so all I have to do is.
This has been
So-
the Sam One-Ups Gray episode
Yep,
of Super
yep.
Pulp Science.
I'm 29 years old, and I'm still infected with delusions of grandeur. So that's pretty much what gets me by.
This episode of Super Pulp Science has been your special, super short NaNoWriMo episode. You still have 3 days left. No, by the time you listen to this, it's over.
And let's encourage people to share their stuff with us.
Yes, share your stuff with us. How do I...
Share
Through
your
Twitter.
woes,
Yeah.
share your ups and downs of Nano, and let us know how it went. And we're all there. We're all fighting together
We're in it together. That's true. Join the fight. Make comics.
and write novels.